Let's see what we can find down here. Raw spirit. Not particularly palatable, but good for cleaning and magic tricks. The water of life. Some of these whiskies are from local distilleries. Ooh, a lot of blood for just one animal. Looks fresh.
Master Eddie's work. He and Mr. McKinnon put it here earlier. Poor beastie.
Eddie? Another family member I've yet to meet. Not the most hygienic workstation. A hunting map. Looks like they've been poaching outside the Gordon estate. How cruel of Mr. McKinnon to send her down here alone. Step right up!
Sir? What are you... Oh my! Oh, that's amazing! Does that not hurt?
No, a little trick I learned in India.
Sorry, did that scare you, Elsa? I didn't think...
And you are?
Edward Mallory. You may call me Edward III.
So this is Cousin Eddie. He seems...
Welcome to my castle.
as terrible as the rest of them. My castle indeed. Pleased to meet you, Eddie. So, your parents would be my aunt and uncle Clara and Victor. Are they...
Dead. Dead as doornails, the pair of them.
Lovely. You've lived here all your life, so you would have met my father.
Only after he lost what marbles he had left. If it were up to me, I'd have locked him up in the loony bin a bit sooner.
Locked him up?
So what are you doing down here anyway?
There's a line between honesty and rudeness that Cousin Eddie doesn't seem to recognise. I was helping Miss Crannan.
Oh, why didn't you ask me?
Excuse me, sir. Sirs, I really have to go.
Leaving so soon? Was it something I said? They all tend to act like that in the presence of nobility.
You said something about a loony bin?
I did. Oh, you don't know.
Well?
Well, never you mind. I have an animal to prepare.
I'm getting very tired of everyone in this house avoiding my questions.
There's something you should know, sir. Something important. I overheard them talking and
You're paid to work, not chat. Get to it, girl.
Sorry, Mr. McKinnon. Library, after dinner.
At last, I might get some answers. This'll make it easier to carry. The boy. It must be. But I need to be sure. Perhaps the names are on the back. My family. Yet they're all still strangers to me. Grandfather Edward. Just as he looked last night. Lady Margaret. She looks happy. I can't imagine her smiling like that these days. The boy. How did he provoke Edward into throwing him down the stairs? What's this? Looks like it's drawn in blood? The boy. Regardless of what I told Miss Crannan, these visions are like nothing I've ever experienced before, and they're getting worse. Lady Margaret?
Yes, David?
I saw an old photograph of a boy in the other room. Something tells me she wouldn't be happy if she knew I had it in my pocket.
Ah, that was taken in 1894. Young Johnny, your father.
You can remember the exact year?
It's a funny thing when you reach my age. You can remember dates from decades ago.
But not what you had for breakfast.
Maybe others can't.
Who, may I ask, were the others in the picture?
That would be your Aunt Clara and your late great-grandmother, the last true Countess of Scahandew House. And my dear Edward, of course.
I noticed my father had a scar on his face. How did that happen?
Falling from a tree, perhaps? I can't recall. But your father was a clumsy child.
Can't recall. But you remember the date the photograph was taken? I shall take my leave, Lady Margaret.
Yes.
David, apologies for not being here to greet you. As the telephone in the castle is not working due to the recent storm, I have had to journey to the village to communicate with my office. Upon my return, I shall show you to the chapel where you can pay your respects to your father. Yours, Andrew Harrison.
Or maybe I'll just head to the chapel myself, just as soon as the weather clears. It's working. Has it been repaired? Or did Andrew lie to me? Finally, some fresh air.
Master David.
You could tell it was me.
Your footsteps. I ken the walk of everyone here.
Well, that's rather incredible.
Aye, that it is, laddie. That it is. I hear better than most. See more than most to know.
When you talked about what they did to my father, what did you mean?
He shouldn't have come back. You canna go through what he did as a bairn and no be sick.
So his hospitalization was justified then?
Not for me to say. Before you think of putting down roots here, you should think on what the poison grown here did to your father. You can?
No, not really.
If you dinna mind, this door will no mend itself.
I'll leave you to it then. Father had a similar toolbox, back when he still fixed things around the house. Locked with a padlock. Andrew will have a key, but I'm not keen on waiting for his return. Nobody left to mourn the dead or care for their graves, it seems. I've seen this before. In the painting. This is the grave I saw in that waking dream or whatever it was. The grave my father buried something in as a boy. Who's buried here? If I could just... these vines are too thick. I need something to cut through these. You wouldn't have to have a chapel key, would you?
Ain't set a foot in there for years, and I don't intend to either.
That'll be a no then. The graveyard. Is it a family plot?
Aye. No matter how high and mighty, all the Gordons end up there.
A cheery thought. It's a shame we do not have the means to properly care for the graves.
Why bother? His bones and food for worms.
May I borrow your bolt cutter?
Maybe. If I ken what you need it for.
The graves. I would like to tidy them up. That way I can pay my respects properly.
Is that a fact? Why's that then?
They are my family. They deserve to be remembered.
Fair enough, laddie. Just grab it yourself, will ye?
Better. Cecilia Shaw Nee Gordon. Aunt Cecilia. Now, let's see if there's something really buried in here. Another piece of the castle model. Another part of the model. And it's stained with what seems to be old blood. Why did Father bury this when he was a child?